Hi, it's Rachel with Stella, and today she and I are going to do a review on our loose leash walking and heeling. So Stella was turning into a little bit of a sled dog as I was taking her out today and pulling, and since we're going to be working outside, I figured this is the perfect opportunity for us to practice our loose leash walking. So, just as a reminder with the loose leash walking, first of all you hold the leash by putting your thumb through the loop and making a fist around it. That way you have a nice tight grip, it's super comfortable, and no matter how hard Stella pulls, the leash won't slip out of your hands. So for loose leash walking, you give her the whole leash so she has all this 6 feet to kind of walk around and explore. So she's still getting plenty of stimulation and excitement out of the walk. Remember, we have the two methods that we like to use. First is called the back method, and then we have the reverse method. So for the back method, when you're walking, Stella is pulling, so your arms out like this, you're walking, you stop, plant your feet, tap your leg and say, Stella, back. And see, she was even laying down and she still responded to that. Then once you have this nice slack in the leash, you can continue on your walk. Now, we don't usually use treats for loose leash walking because the treat is we get to continue walking. With a young, inquisitive dog like Stella, that's definitely a good motivation for her. Now, for our reverse method, that's when if Stella starts to pull, you turn 180 degrees like this. You give the leash a little tug and say, Stella, this way. And you go in the other direction. Now, that's also super useful if she is lagging or sniffing off in either direction, because you just turn 180 degrees from wherever she's pulling you and go in the opposite direction. A lot of times that gets dogs' attention a lot better. If they see, mom or dad walking off without them, they get excited and want to go after them, and that kind of snaps them out of the focus that they might have on another object or sniffing something. And remember, with that, you don't have to yank her back. A lot of the times if a dog is pulling, your first reaction is to pull back super hard. However, that's not good. With too much pressure around the collar, it can actually cause laryngeal damage on her, which you don't want to do over quite a long period of time, though. And also, if dogs feel like they're being restrained, sometimes they want to fight against that, and it makes them a little bit more frantic. So, when you do the reverse method, you just give a little tug, a couple little tugs, or a little jiggle of the leash, just enough to get her attention. Okay. So Stella and I are going to start walking around, and I'm going to try to use both methods depending on which one works best for the situation, and we'll see how she does. So Stella, this way. Stella, this way. Stella, this way. Stella, back. Good girl. Good girl. Stella, this way. Stella, this way. Stella, back. Back. Good girl. Good girl. Stella, back. Good girl. Stella, back. Good girl. Good job. Good girl, Stella. All right, that was great. She was very responsive. She's very intuitive and cares a lot when I'm talking. A lot of dogs, they don't care what you're doing. They're not going to pay attention to you. But I like how responsive and respectful Stella is. Now, we suggest that you practice this loose leash walking at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. And now, because she knows how to walk nicely on a leash, it's important that you don't ever let her get away with pulling. By never letting her get away with pulling, it will just become a habit to walk nicely on the leash, and she'll know what's expected of her and how she has to behave every time the leash goes on. So now that we've done the loose leash walking, I want to do a little bit of a heel review with her. Stella picks everything up really quickly that I teach her, and so we just want to, do kind of dust off the cobwebs for her. So heeling is a lot more controlled, and it's handy if you're taking her into the vet or to Petco, where there are a lot of different dogs and animals that you don't know how she's going to react or how they will react to her. It keeps her by your side. Also, if you're walking on a busy sidewalk, to avoid her getting out into traffic, it has her on a shorter leash, and it's much more controlled, and it also commands a lot more of her attention up to you instead of on her surroundings. So it can be good to keep her attention away from something you don't want her running off to investigate. So let me grab a couple treats for her. I didn't have my treats on me when we were doing the loose leash walking. So, okay. Here we go. So, usually we heel on the left side, and Stella sits right next to us, like this. This is perfect. So, same way you hold the leash as for the loose leash walking. Thumb through the loop, make a fist, and you can bring up some of the slack like this. You can use your left hand to control the slack on the leash, or you can bunch it all up into your right hand like this. Now, you don't want to be hanging Stella. You want the leash to have a nice relaxed J shape. Stella, come here. Sit. Good, sit. Like this. But of course, if we have to teach her to walk and not pull in front of us, we might have to have a little bit of a tighter leash until she really knows the heel well. So when you say heel, you start off with your left leg, whichever leg is closest to the dog, and say heel. It's a moving command, so as you step forward, then you say heel, like that. Now whenever we stop, Stella is supposed to sit, and I'm going to try to bait her up into a sit without telling her to do it, so it becomes a habit of whenever you stop, she automatically sits. Now this can be really handy for when you meet new people or new dogs. If you train Stella that she doesn't get to meet them until she's sitting down, that helps a lot with prep work for off-leash manners. So if you take her to the beach or something like that, and she wants to see another dog and she's off-leash, instead of running off to meet them, she'll sit and wait for your command. So having her sit automatically when you stop and when she wants something is a really good habit to have her get into. So Stella, come here. Come here, little chow hound. Sit. Good girl. All right. Heel. Heel. Good heel. Good girl. Heel. 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 Good girl, heel. Good girl. Heel. Good girl. Good heel, Stella. Good job, sweetie. Oh, so good. That was a absolutely beautiful heel. Good job to Stella, and good job to you guys for working so hard with her at home. It really shows, and we really appreciate it a lot that you're taking so much time to put in to Stella's education. That was absolutely excellent. Sometimes she would get a little bit ahead of me, and she's very attentive with the treat. Now, if you have the treat too close to her, she jumps up a bit, but notice how much more of her attention was on me when we were heeling than when we were doing our loose leash walking, or like right now. Luckily, it works really great with Stella to keep her attention, and it really captivates her. So that'll be great for you if you need to use heeling to keep her close to you and keep her attention whenever you're going through any kind of situation where you have to do that. Alright, she did a fantastic job. She is an amazing little puppy, and we will see you next time. This was Rachel and Stella, and we were working on loose leash walking and healing.